So when we do the tree, we start out from the NP, the main NP, right? So the NP is the president of the country, right? So it's going to be under here, right? So you have a determiner, the N president, right? And then of the country is a prepositional phrase with a preposition of as the main word, as the head word, and then the country is your another noun phrase, right? Of the country, like that, right? So it should look like that. Okay? So you are done with the NP side. And now the VP side, you have to locate, you have to identify the main verb, right? So I think in this case is gave, right? So gave is the main verb and it projects a VP, right? Because it's a verb phrase with the verb as the head. And then an NP, right? An extremely boring lecture. So you have a determiner and then an extremely boring lecture, that's an NP. So you have to identify the main noun, which is lecture, like that, okay? And then everything else is gonna be extremely boring, that's the adjective phrase, right? So you have adjective phrase right here. So it has to be a phrase because you have two words. You have a degree word, which is extremely, like that, and then boring is your adjective, like that. So that's what we should do so far, right? Extremely boring is one AP, okay? And that AP modifies the noun there. And then the AP, the noun, and the determiner, they make up one NP, that level, okay? And then what else do we have? About the destruction of the city during World War II. About is the head word, right, which is a preposition. Now the problem is, where should we attach the prepositional phrase? Here or here? Because a VP can have a prepositional phrase after it, adverbial preposition. Or an NP could have an adverbial, right? Adnominal branch out of it. So where should we have that? NP, right? Because it's the lecture about the destruction. It's not gave about. It's not the lecture about. So it's adnominal PP. So it comes from there. Okay? So we have P about, and then NP, and then determiner, the, and then N destruction, like that. Okay, so I'll move to this side because I have no room for further writing. Now you have about the destruction is the destruction of the city, right? So of the city is a prepositional phrase that modifies destruction, right? Destruction of what? So it's another PP right there. So P of NP and then determiner, the, and then N city. So it would just come off from here, the PP and so on, right? Now we have one last prepositional phrase which is about, what is it? About World War II. During World War II, which is another prepositional phrase. So we have so many places to hang the prepositional phrase because theoretically speaking it can come off here or it could come off here, right? All NPs can have a PP, right? So where should we attach our prepositional phrase branch? We attach it to where it works with, right? So it's during World War II. Is it the city during World War II or is the destruction during World War II? Destruction, right? So it has to come off from here rather than from there. Okay, so PP and then P from and then NP in World War II, like that. Okay. For the next sentence, I'll just do the NP because the VP is easy, right? One word. So the next sentence, slept is going to be here, right? It's just one word. So everything else is the NP, right? The NP subject. So we have a long NP consisting of the cat on the mat, in the house, on the street. So the cat is of course the main, the cat here, cat is the main head, right? And then on the mat modifies the cat where it is, right? So we have PP, we have P on, and then NP and the mat. Oops, determiner and the mat. Now, the next thing is in the house. What is in the house? Of course, both the cat and the mat are in the house. But in this case, what's in the house? It's the mat, right? The cat that is on the mat, that is in the house, right? So it's the mat that is in the house in this case. So it's gonna be, the PP is gonna come out from that NP. In the house. And then on the street, right? And then what's on the street? Not the mat for sure, right? Is the house that's on the street. So the PP will have to be attached to that NP here. On and then NP, determiner, the, and then N street. So here you have three adnominal PPs, right? This is the first one, the second one, the third one. And the tree shows you that that PP on the mat modifies the head noun cat. The second adnominal PP modifies mat. The third adnominal PP modifies house, if you look at the tree. What's ever under a node, so NP here is higher than PP, right? It's under the node NP. So it modifies the head noun there. So this PP in the house is under that NP node. It modifies the head noun there. And this PP is under the main node. So it modifies the main noun like that. So the tree will show you what modifies what. Okay? Questions? Beautiful tree near the park. The next one is they planted, right? So they, it should be they, not the. So they planted a beautiful tree near the park. So you have an S going to, again, NP and VP. And the NP is easy. You have just only a pronoun, they, right? And then the verb phrase with planted as the verb. And then you have an NP, a beautiful tree. So you have an NP, determiner A, and then adjective phrase, adjective beautiful tree, beautiful, and then tree. And finally, in the park is a prepositional phrase. Where do we have that branch? It has to be of the VP, right? Because it's planted near the park. Planted where, right? So it's adverbial. So PP. So P near and then NP. Determiner the and then park, like that. Okay? The last one is easiest, right? She ran to the house. You have just the verb ran and to the house, modifying the verb phrase, right? So it would be like this. She, pronoun, right? And then the VP, V, ran, and then PP, P2, and then NP, the house, like that. Okay? Questions?
Do we have to write pro?
Yeah, pronoun or pronoun, right? It's instead of a noun, it's pronoun. Pro or pronoun. Okay? So now you know about the basic structures, the basic sentence structures even, right? The basic is S goes to NP and VP. That's the basic sentence structure in English, right? And then what NP looks like, you see that NP could have a determiner, adjective phrase, and so on. So you know about that. Now we'll move on to a more kind of complicated thing, and we'll use the PowerPoint files for today. We already know about the basic stuff. So now we'll look at complex sentence structure. And we'll look at two things in particular, recursiveness and ambiguity. Okay? Okay, so if you are ready, the first idea to make a simple sentence complex is the idea of recursiveness. Recursiveness comes from the verb to recur, right? To recur is to happen again. So when you do the recursiveness, you just use the same thing. You recycle the same thing and make it more complex by doing two things, one or the other. One is coordination. You can coordinate using conjunctions. You coordinate two of the same thing, okay? Two of the same thing using coordination. So that's one. And the second one is embedding. So embedding is to bury, to put it into one another inside in a kind of hierarchical structure. And we'll see some examples. So you have two methods of making a simple sentence more complex. The first one is coordination by joining two of the same structure using conjunctions. And the second one is use the embedding method. Okay, we'll look at each. So you know about all these basic rules. NP consists of determiner, adjective phrase, noun, and PP and stuff, right? So you have 5 rules so far. So we'll use these rules and we'll recycle these rules Okay? The first way is to do the coordination. So you use conjunctions, right? Conjunctions are words or phrases that join two of the same thing, right? Two of the same type. So, for example, in Mary and John are seeing each other. Seeing here is dating, okay? Not just to look, dating. So here you join using the conjunction and you join two NPs. Mary is one NP and John is another NP. So you make it more complex that way. Or in the second one, you use the conjunction but in this case you join two S's. One S is Mary loves John. The other S is John doesn't love her. So you join two S's together. Okay? In the third one, same thing, you join two S's. One S, one sentence is you can use your handwriting and then you use the word or to join another sentence. Okay? So if you represent this on the tree, it's gonna be maybe two branches of the same stuff. So if you do number one, Mary and John are seeing each other. Where's my eraser? So Mary and John would be the NP, right? Mary and John would be here, and then seeing each other is going to be here. So Mary and John, you can have three branches, and the first NP that you join is Mary, and you use a conjunction which is and you join it with NP2, which is John, like that, and are seeing each other is gonna be there. So that's how you join, right? And the structure is more complex because you have two NPs like side by side through the conjunction. Okay. But in the second one, what you join is two S's. So the idea is the same thing, and the structure will have maybe three branches, but so you join two S's. So you have S1, and then but, conjunction but, and then S2, like that, right? And S1 will have its own structure, and S2 will have its own structure, like that. And then you can do the rest, okay? So that's how we make it more complex. First, by using coordinating conjunctions, okay? But what you can notice is that when you use conjunctions, it has to be two of the same thing, right? So you join two NPs, you join two NPs, you join two S's, you join two S's, okay? So it has to be of the same nature, of the same type, okay? But when you do the other method, which is called embedding, when you do embedding, it doesn't have to be from the same, of the same nature, of the same type of structure. So at the level of phrases, you did this already, right? When you have so many PPs, a man from Mars. So PP here from Mars is embedded, is buried within a bigger NP, like that. But then a man from Mars with two friends, like that. Here you have two NPs, and both of them are adnominal, modifying a man, like that. So that's embedding at the level of phrase. But you can also do it at the level of clause, at the level of the sentence, by using the word that, or the word whether, or the word if. And we call those things complementizers, if you remember, right? So this is just one basic S. Dorothy met the wicked witch, okay? And then you can embed that red thing, okay, that red sentence, within a bigger sentence. John said that Dorothy met the wicked witch. You see that it's buried, is embedded within a bigger clause. So there are two clauses here. One is inside another clause. Now it's not going to be like balanced like this, but it's going to be within another clause. I'll show you the tree. And you can do that at so many levels. So I kind of give you 3 examples of how you can embed, right? Everything within each other like that. Okay? The last one is the most expansive one. I wonder whether my mom asked whether Peter said that John said that Dorothy made the wicked witch. You cannot keep track of that, of course, because it has to do with memory limitations, okay? But doesn't mean that it's not correct. It's correct according to the rule, right? You can keep embedding, but what you cannot do is to memorize or to keep track of who said what, because there are too many levels of embedding, right? Yes, that's correct, Hall. So let me show you how to write the tree for that. The rule for embedding, if I can add one rule, I will add CP goes to C and S. CP comes from complementizer phrase. So it's a phrase that has a complementizer as the head word. And the head word is, of course, either that, whether, that, whether, if, or other things, okay? We'll talk about those things. And then that CP complementizer phrase consists of the complementizer itself, which introduces the S. S is just a sentence, okay? Let's see. Okay, there is that sentence, Mary said that she will come to class early. So I use the red color to show that that part is embedded, okay? It's buried within a bigger clause. Now, what we should do is, now we already identify which clause is embedded, right? The red one. She will come to class early, that's embedded. Now we can represent the structure of that using the tree. So I'll do it here. Mary said that. So Mary said that. So we'll have Mary as the main clause. So Mary is going to be here, right? And then said that is going to be, said is going to be the verb that projects the VP. Mary said, if this, let's suppose that if this was a simple sentence, Mary said hello, okay? Mary said goodbye. So it would be Mary said and then NP, hello, like right there, right? Or Mary said goodbye. It's gonna be as simple as that, right? But this time is not just an NP, it's a clause, right? It's another S. So instead of that NP, we have the complementizer phrase instead of an NP, but it's still the same place. It's still in the same place. Complementizer phrase, and then it goes to a complementizer and an S, if you remember, right? The complementizer is, of course, the word that. And then now you can do the rest. She will come to class early. So it's going to be here, right? NP and VP. So this is pronoun she. And then will come to class early will be here. Okay? You can do that. Early is, in this case, an adverbial phrase that modifies will come to class. Okay? So the idea here is that when you embed, it's gonna be a CP, and it's under something bigger, right? That S is bigger than this S. Okay? This is different from coordination because in coordination you have two of the same thing on two sides, right? But for embedding, you have something higher, something lower. Okay? And the complementizer here introduces that this S is an embedded clause. So, any questions? So when you see the word that or whether or if, she asks if she can miss class, whatever, it's gonna be like this. Okay? So this is the way that we typically introduce what people call subordinate clauses, right? So subordinate clause is this clause right here. Okay? It's subordinate. Subordinate means under because it's under another clause like that. Okay? And this thing is what we call the main clause. And this is subordinate. Because subordinate means under, subboard, sub is under, right? So it's under the main clause. Okay? And the tree can show you that. Okay? Now, so let's stop here and let's talk about another thing. We talked about simple sentences, we talked about complex and coordinated sentences. Now we'll talk about another issue, which is structural ambiguity. Okay? Ambiguity means that something is not clear. Ambi is like 2 or 3. Okay? So when it comes to structural ambiguity, it refers to the fact that a sentence can have 2 or more interpretations, or we can say 2 or more readings, meaning 2 or more meanings, 2 or more interpretations. And this is a result of how we assign 2 different structures, and we can show that on the tree. Two different structures to a phrase or to a sentence. Okay? Just like this example. Here I have so many pictures here. If you all can see that, right? The first picture here, you can see it in 2 ways, right? If you think of this as the beak, meaning the mouth, so it's gonna be a duck or a bird like that. So you assign this in your brain, you assign this as the beak or the mouth. So it has to be a bird. But if you assign this, you recognize this in your head as 2 ears, right? Then it's gonna be a rabbit, right? So it's 2 ways of assigning some meaning to the same thing. So it depends on how you recognize this. So if you recognize it as the beak or the mouth, it's gonna be a bird. Then if you recognize this as 2 ears, then it's gonna be a rabbit. Same thing here. Depending on how you assign meaning to the same picture, you can see a beautiful lady if you look at it upside down. And then if you look at it just the regular way, it's gonna be an old lady, right? Just like that. What about this one? What do you see? A bottle with a picture, painting with painting on the bottle. What do you see? What do you see? A picture of painting of Junhee. What do you see? What do you see? You're an interesting case to ask. What is is a painting of what? What do you see here? No, it's not difficult, right? It's not linguistic. It's just, visual. What do you see? Sungmin, what do you see? I only see dolphins. You see dolphins here, dolphins here, dolphins here. The black things are dolphins. Because I'm innocent. I'm pure. So I only see dolphins. Oh, you guys don't see dolphins? You don't see dolphins? You see a man and a woman? It took me a long time to see a man and a woman there. I'm innocent. Sorry. It said that if you have a dirty mind, you will see a picture of a man and a woman. If you have an innocent mind, you will see dolphins like me. Okay? So that's only because you assign some meaning, you assign some structure to different shadings, to different areas, right? If the black things you assign the meaning of dolphins, then it's going to be dolphins. If you only focus on the white areas, it's going to be a man and a woman. So it depends on how your brain assigns the meaning to these, how your brain recognizes these different shades. So same thing in language as the same thing in visual representation. When you have a sentence like John killed a man with a knife, there are two readings, there are two possible readings, there are two possible interpretations. Okay, here. No, we're not focusing on that. You know, it would take you a long time to recognize the dolphins, I know. So we now switch to this, okay? John killed a man with a knife. You have two readings. The first reading is John killed a man and the man had a knife, right? John killed a man with a knife, meaning he used a knife to kill a man. So that prepositional phrase with a knife is adverbial to killed, right? He killed using what? Killed with a knife. But the second reading, the second possible reading is John killed a man and John used switch. John killed a man and a man had a knife. Okay? So in that case, with a knife is adnominal to a man. It's a man with a knife. Okay? So you have two readings because two structures are possible, and you assign two different trees to each reading, to each interpretation. Okay? So we talked about the adnominal and the adverbial like that. So the tree for this is going to be like this. So the first tree where, I don't know what is first, but John killed a man with a knife. So if the interpretation is that John used a knife to kill a man. So that's the interpretation. So I'll put it in the quotation marks here. So if it's that interpretation, then it's adverbial. The PP is adverbial to kill. So it's going to be like this. S goes to NP and VP. N is John. The N is John. And then the V is killed. And then NP is determiner, and then man. And then with the knife, it's going to be an adverbial phrase, right? So PP, P with, and then noun phrase. I'll just say a knife, like that. Okay? I use this triangle to just represent my shorthand for that phrase, because I trust that you know the structure. Okay? So in this case, kill is kill with a knife. So the PP is adverbial. Okay? For the other reading, the PP is adnominal. So it's going to look a bit different. So it will have almost the same thing, but the VP is going to look a bit different for that one. VP is going to be killed, the V killed, and then NP, determiner, D, and then man, and then with the knife is going to be from there, right? And then PP, P with, and then NP, a knife, like that. So this is the second reading, which is a man had a knife. So two possible readings, two possible interpretations. So this reading is for this tree, this reading is for the other tree. Okay. Another example is this. I gave her dog biscuits, and you can have two different interpretations. I gave her dog biscuits. This is on the slide, right? The first one is I gave her dog biscuits, meaning her and dog go together, right? I give the dog biscuits, okay? Not to the person, but to the dog that belongs to that woman, okay? So that's the first reading. I gave biscuits to her dog, someone's dog, someone who is a female. The second reading, I gave her, meaning I gave that person, that woman, dog biscuits. Meaning I give that woman dog food, like that. I gave dog food to her, to that woman. So it depends on how you assign the structure to her, right? Because the word her is a problem. In the first one, her functions as a determiner to dog, like my dog, her dog. So the first one is determiner of the dog, okay? Whereas in the second one, her is not a determiner, it's just an NP, that is a pronoun, right? So I can show you the structure using the tree. So the first one is her and dog go together, right? Her and dog, her dog. So it's gonna be I is gonna be here. So I'm not gonna write everything out. And then gave, and then her dog. Her is gonna be determiner here, right? And then dog is gonna be a noun, like that. So her and dog go together. I gave that woman's dog, and then biscuits, like that. Okay? In the second one, I gave the biscuits, the dog biscuits, to her, right? It's gonna be, so this is I, this is VP. I gave her, it's gonna be here, her. And then dog biscuit is gonna be another NP. So in dog biscuit, like that, okay? So this is just by itself, okay? So 4.1, can you change from hid to hid? Okay, there's a typo there. 4.1 on the first page, Jane hid the letter from Dan, okay? So this sentence is ambiguous, meaning that it can have two readings. So we'll just try to look at both meanings and the structure of both meanings. So the first meaning possible is Jane hid the letter, and the letter is from Dan, right? So the first meaning is the letter is from Dan. Okay? It's the letter from Dan. Jane hid it, right? The second reading is Jane didn't want Dan to see the letter from who knows, I don't know who, right? So the second reading is that the letter was hidden from Dan, right? I don't know from whom the letter is. So two possible readings. But one reading is associated with one tree, right? So if it's the first reading, the letter is from Dan, then the letter and Dan will have to go together as one phrase, right? It's adnominal, PP. So it's gonna be like S goes to NP and VP. So this is gonna be Jane, okay? You can write that out yourself. And the VP will have the verb hid, as the main verb. And then everything else will be together because it's the letter that is from Dan. So from Dan has to be add nominal to that NP. So PP will be P from, and then Dan is going to be the NP, like that. So that's the tree for the first meaning. The second meaning will give you the tree where the PP comes from the VP, right? So you will have more or less the same, but then the VP will be V hid, and then NP, the letter, like that. And then from Dan will be here, PP, from Dan. Okay. I use this big triangle just to say that, you know, you can break it down further, okay? To P and NP and stuff. So that's an example, okay? Could you, maybe we have 5 or 6 minutes left. Could you do number 2? Enough rest and exercise will help you recover. Or maybe that's maybe that needs more time. So could you do number 3 instead? 3 is more like what we did with the dog example, her dog biscuit or her dog biscuit. So number 4.3 on the second page. They considered those problems, and they considered those problems. Okay. So what are the 2 meanings, and how would you do trees for those 2 meanings? First, you have to think about the meanings, okay? 2 possible meanings. In spoken language, we can use pause to indicate the meaning. Like, they consider those problems, or they consider those problems together, like that, okay? So I'll give you 2 minutes to think about the 2 meanings. Yeah. Triangle is just to, let me see. Triangle is just to show you that we can break it down further. So the PP technically looks like this, right? NP and from, and then whatever, and then. So I use the triangle just to avoid doing this. So I said PP from Dan, just without having to do the P and then NP and N like that, okay? So this is what I came up with. You guys should have more or less the same. One possible meaning is those problems, right? They consider those problems, meaning those problems were considered by them, right? So in this case, those and problems, they go together. And the second meaning is they consider those things, whatever those things are, they consider those things as problems, okay? In this case, those goes by itself, okay? So we have two trees. The first tree is, I'll only write out the VP, okay? The V consider, and then those problem is your NP, with those as the determiner, and then problem as the noun, okay? So they are looking, they are thinking about those problems, okay? They are working on those problems, in other words, okay? The second meaning is they consider those things as problems. So in this case, those goes by itself. So you have a VP that has the V as consider, and then those is your NP, which is a pronoun, those. They consider those, right? And then problem is another NP and problem, like that. Okay? In other words, they think of those things, those pronoun, those things as problems. Okay?